Hello again, it's Mike with Foxes Abroad, and it's Saturday, so getting to do some work in the garage again. It's actually not too bad of a day. The garage door is open for the first time in a while. We're about 52 degrees, so it's a little cold, still a little windy, but I'm happy enough to just not be cooped up with the garage doors closed and let some extra light in. So some of the garage lights, but today I am working on some exhausts. These exhaust tips I want to put on the coupe. The ones on the coupe are a cheap, no-name brand sold by certain vendors, will remain nameless, but and they fit like absolute garbage. I actually pie cut and welded the passenger side one, and with my TIG welder, welded it back up, and still didn't fit right, even after all that. And I was gonna have to hack it up so much, I just had to accept what I had and leave it. And now it's come to the time. I got some name brand exhaust tips. These are the ones they're fully stainless, because mild steel is so pre-2000. So, but what I'm doing is I'm trying to get rid of this laser etched logo, and this one I already did, and I polished it out. So it took about a half an hour or so. I'll just work on that one. I tried to do some, I got this old Dynabrade sander. It's just got a pretty small orbit in it. It needs a new pad, but oh well. It's got a Velcro backer on it. So these are all the different kinds of sandpaper that I had when I was using with my Festool sander. But I started with 400, trying to play with that. That was just taking too long. Then I tried 320, then I went down to 240, and that's about as fine as I really want to go. Sorry for all the shadows, because you start getting into really aggressive sandpaper, it's just going to take you forever to get those scratches back out. So I used a foam interface pad, because as you're trying to sand, it's gonna go like this. It's gonna conform instead of just being, like a solid piece. Like, I'm not trying to flat anything off, I'm just trying to keep the contours going. And the foam pad really helps you contour the exhaust pipe a lot better and makes your work go a lot faster. So using the foam pad, I got down to 400, and then I even had a piece of 500 here left over from some body work. And then after that, I had some, you could do this with wet dry sandpaper if you really wanted to, do it by hand, you don't need to use a machine. Then I had some 1500 grit wet Trizact paper. It's almost like a film, doesn't even seem like sandpaper anymore. And then I went down to a 3000 grit pad. This is for final finishing before you usually do buffing and compounding on paint. And then after that, I used just an old beat up microfiber pad for the sander, and just used some rubbing compound and finishing it out to the shine. So it's not super duper chrome like shine, it's still stainless-esque, but got rid of the logo because I don't like to be a rolling billboard. So some people like it, some people are sponsored, that's what they need to do, but not me. But I also took some time and used the sander around the edges, because some of these are sharp. So I can probably cut my glove if I rubbed it too hard. But I learned doing this one to wear some gloves, because it's almost like polished aluminum, just not as bad. Your hands get all black and there's dust in the air. So, but yeah, I'm gonna sit here and polish out this next one and get that ready to go. One other thing that I picked up over here was these V-band clamps, which is what I want to incorporate. So I have On the car now, it's got all stainless exhaust, and the mufflers are Borla's Pro XS's, and with stainless steel mufflers and pipes going in the back and the front, even on the flow tubes, the clamps that you have to use don't really work well because stainless is so much harder than mild steel. You don't get the crimp. So even with it as tight as I can get it before you feel like the bolt's just gonna snap or strip, you can still wiggle all the tubes if you turn them hard enough, and it annoys the heck out of me. So I went with my TIG welder with the pipes on the car and just one little spot, you know, at the back of the muffler, and then one little spot at the front of the muffler, just so the exhausts aren't turning, so the mufflers stay straight. But I want to incorporate these V-band clamps. So I'll have to cut the pipes back, weld this on, get the matching one, weld this to the muffler, and then the tailpipes will be, you know, they'll seal up super nice. I'm trying to do this one-handed. And then, you know, these are a little heavier, but easily removable, and this is about the best thing you could use to put your tubes together with. So these are just cheap Summit brand ones, and I couldn't justify spending big money on this because I could mess it up and be out a lot of money. But one thing to note, you see this register here, it's just got a little step, and you'd think that you would want the pipes to go on the exhaust deeper, because all they do is they fit right on that step. But I learned from doing this in the past that if you get these flanges too hot from welding, they're going to distort and they will not seal properly. So that's why it's further away from the flange, and you're doing your welding back here. Hopefully the heat won't distort everything and ruin your day, because there's a lot of work to get these things on there. But when it's on and it's nice, there's nothing better. So, and we're gonna try to get that going here soon. So anyway, it's a garage update for the weekend. What else is going on? I did get the push rods in. I don't know if I haven't really shown you guys this yet, but there's a 289 I'm building for a guy. So, and was waiting. I mocked up the whole engine. Was waiting for the push rods once I measured it for the proper spec, and they came in at 6,250, which is stock length push rods. So, which is kind of awesome. I mean, that's what it's spec'd out as. So just got them in yesterday and set all the lash, and waiting on the next installment of some money from them so we can get timing cover, oil pan, and get things going. And sooner or later, this thing's gonna get put on the run stand so we can hear it go. And this thing's gonna go into a GT40 replica. I don't know how long this guy's project is. It should be pretty darn long term, because I've had this engine for over a year and it's been a pain in the ass. Because whatever, I guess he bought it, he wanted numbers like vintage correct 1965 block and heads and all that stuff. So that's what he got. I mean, the heads aren't a match set. They're a few months apart from each other, and the crank's from a different motor. And so, but it's old enough to fall into his vintage racing categories. But I don't know what he did when he cleaned it or had somebody else clean it or de-rust it. But the whole front end of this, I think this end part of the engine was face down on the ground for a long time, because everything was corroded on this end of the block, to where we went to go get it cleaned and at the machine shop, and they found the main journals had too much porosity in them, and they had to be cold spray welded, and it had to get line bore honed. And after that, what else did we find that corrosion messed with? I had to put lifter bore bushings in it. See the brass lifter bore bushings, because the bores at the front of the block were excessively worn to you go put a lifter in there and the lifter just goes whoosh and slip right at the bottom, and it had like about 3 times as much clearance on some of these front ones as you're required to have. Because all his oil pressure would have been pissing out the front of the block and it wouldn't have oiled the back. So, and when to go torque the heads down, this bolt pulled the threads out at 50 foot-pounds. So I had to get a helicoil kit, and I had to get the long helicoils, because the normal kit just comes with like the ones with like 6 threads in it, and that wasn't going to be enough to hold 70, 80 foot-pounds. So I had to order the 3X long ones, custom make them to fit, and got that done. There was a 4th thing that oh yeah, we had to put a sleeve in number 5 because the pits and the bore wouldn't clean up at 30 thousandths. I didn't want to go 40 or 60 or anything like that, so number 5 needed a sleeve, which isn't detrimental. I've had to do it in the past. It's no big deal, but it'll be a nice engine when it's all together. Once he figures out what front timing cover and water pump arrangement he wants. I asked him, I was like, do you want the water pump coming in from that direction or this direction? Because it's going to matter what kind of pump and timing cover and belt arrangement and pulleys that we end up using. So that's the next question, but he's probably waiting a while for our next installment of money, because bringing stuff in on the regular economy isn't cheap, or buying stuff on the regular economy isn't cheap. So, but it's got 289, 30 over Eagle rods in the thing. So they're H-beam rods. So because I guess he wants to spin it, he got a custom small little flywheels going on here with a racing clutch. It's all balanced, good pistons, custom hydraulic roller cam, and you see the lifters. I mean, the lifters cost more than the custom billet camshaft. And timing chain. This thing is, you can order timing chains. I don't know if you can see the link. It's a red link there. That means it's 50 thousandths shorter of a chain, because when you get the block line hone, it takes the center line of your main journals and moves it up towards the camshaft. So if you use a standard timing chain, your standard timing chain is going to have loads of play in it. So with a shorter timing chain, it puts it, I mean, this is one of the nicest combos I've had in a while, where the timing chain is just snug. And as soon as it runs and breaks in a little bit, it'll be perfect. So, I mean, it's like $160, $150 timing chain. What you got to do, if you want it nice, that's what you got to do. But lots of port work, big valves in the heads, a lot of chamber work, machine for screw-in studs, some nice beehive springs. So good fighting oil seals, machine the springs, perches to fit those. So all this dust getting in here. You put that bag back over because the wind's blowing too hard. So, yeah, I even machined tap the front of the block. I don't even think you can see, for screwing oil galley plugs. And this one I got a teeny hole in to spray the distributor gear, because it's going to have to be a billet gear to work with the billet cam. So, ARP head bolts, and it'll be a good little motor. So, and the cam spec isn't too crazy, because I want him to be happy to drive it, and I don't want it to be too radical that it's just going to be temperamental. So, but it'll be good. But anyway, enough of that. That's the garage for the weekend, and I'll catch you guys again soon. And just got done doing the final polishing up of the second tailpipe. So you can see it came out almost exactly like the first one did. I didn't worry about going too crazy with the shine because I still think I may finish these off. After a while they're going to get nicked up a little bit just because the nature of where they're at on the car. You know, they get, you know, stone dings and chips and things like that. So probably going to take, after a while, some gray Scotch-Brite and just satin them down. But you know, mission complete for a couple of sanding marks in there, but I don't care, you're never going to see them. Just getting the logos out of there. And yeah, it's just something simple and small, but I just don't like being a rolling billboard. So I don't know how long it's going to be until I get these things on the car. It's going to be springtime soon. The weather's going to start better. I got to get the car inspected. They call it an MOT over here in the UK. So got to get inspected. Got to put road tax on it. That's went up since COVID. That's 280 pounds a year. So I don't know. Probably only going to do it for 6 months or so. I'm not going to drive it for too many months. Just the summer, the warm months, and get to a couple events. But anyway, it'll be a month or two before the car hits the road anyway, and before I really want to get around using it at all, shaking it down. So I had like 30 miles on the road going to the dyno the one time. All it's been driven, but small pieces of the puzzle. I'll get those other exhausts off and probably try to get them sold. Somebody will buy them. But yeah, it'll round it out pretty well. So I'll catch you guys in the next video. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.